Hello.
Hi everybody. Okay. Welcome to Mnišek pod Brdy. Today I'm here with Kristina Höschlová, who is a medical doctor and a CEO of Mehana Institute. And today I'm going to ask her some questions regarding her institute and her work.
Yeah. And I'm very happy to introduce you Andrea Poljakova. She's a medical student at the end of her studies. And Andrea prepared some questions for our Mehana TALKS III session. So I'm really excited to know what she's interested about.
So one of my first questions is if you could describe what does your institute offer?
You mean my institute, Mehana Institute?
Yes.
So Mehana Institute provides healthy educative programs for public and healthcare professionals in complementary medicine.
And when I was browsing through your webpage, I came across some terms like complementary medicine, integrative medicine, and also there is a term in my head I see everywhere, holistic medicine. So could you clarify the distinctions between those terms?
Yeah. Very good question, because well, complementary medicine, there is a quite clear definition. Complementary techniques or complementary approach does mean non-invasive and non-pharmacological techniques, which are not currently, not frequently used by conventional medicine. However, they usually originate in other important medicinal traditions, and their benefit on health is inspected by numerous evidence-based studies. So this is what about complementary medicine and complementary techniques. And integrative medicine, this term, or integrative health, is an approach which brings the complementary techniques with conventional medicine in a coordinated way. And you ask also about holistic approach. So holistic approach we can apply in whatever medicinal branch, and holistic approach means that we approach our patients as a whole. That's why holistic. Like we take into consideration the aspect of their, not just of their bodies, but also of their minds and spirits. So holistic approach gets like across conventional and integrative health, and it's quite typical for complementary and integrative techniques, because when we approach our patients in the holistic way, we don't focus only on the physical aspect, but also we are aware of the interconnectedness between the emotions and mindset, and so the spirit, mind, and body of the people.
What role does patient's autonomy play in this? Like, for example, when a patient when somebody who wants to solve a medical problem or illness and sees the Mehana Institute and the programs you're offering, what role does it play that the patient is kind of autonomic in the approach, or
you're right. This is what is like quite typical for this kind of approaches, that it requires or expects the participation of the patient. So it requires coordination and active approach of the patient. And also another thing, you ask about autonomy. Of course, this is the goal, to help the people to become more independent and from from the healthcare system, so to know to help themselves. So this is the goal.
And what conditions can be treated this way, or what conditions is this particularly beneficial for?
Yeah, in general, these are all the conditions like which require to consider also the psychosomatic patterns. So it's usually what is typical, all these chronic inflammations, chronic pain, all these, for example, also the psychiatric disorders, or any imbalance of the immune hormonal systems, because these regulatory systems are very well known to be interconnected in between, and it's very hard to heal whatever disturbance of this immune hormonal systems when we focus just on one aspect. So for another example, the autoimmune diseases. So these are the diseases which are quite difficult to be healed by the conventional pharmacologic and approach, and require this holistic body, mind, spirit approach.
And how can we? Is there any evidence that this can help the people with, for example, a patient with some autoimmune disease or a patient with chronic headaches? Is there any evidence that this does this work?
Yes, of course. As I just told when I explained the definition of complementary medicine, by its definition, as it makes part now of the Western medical approach, is inspected by the evidence-based studies. So the techniques which we present are techniques which are described by the studies. Of course, so there is some evidence, but it's like, in other techniques that even in the conventional techniques, we use the approach to heal some disease by the means which we find sensible. So, of course, you can even for example, in the PubMed database, find many studies which are describing the effect of these techniques. Concretely speaking, about the autoimmune and neurodegenerative diseases, there is a benefit of practicing of contemplative techniques, and also the QiGong exercise. And but it's as it requires also participation of the patient. So I would never present it. Okay, now we have some proven techniques. We have one study which told that QiGong exercise can heal from Parkinsonism, because it's never like this. But now what is also very interesting that we observe some health benefits of these techniques, and consequently we try to describe how it works, what is the mechanism of action. But this we try to describe by consequence. And this is what fascinates me personally, that now the research goes quite fast forward. And in the very recent years, we start to be able to explain by the word of the Western medical science why, for example, meditation or yoga practice or breathing techniques can improve some health conditions.
Okay. And what are these? Could you maybe just name the techniques you use in your institute, so we have better image?
Yeah. Of course, we don't use all the complementary techniques available, but there is a group of the movement exercises like yoga, QiGong, dance. Then also the manual medicine, like musculoskeletal approach of physiotherapeutical principles. So this is one aspect. And then we like to complement this kind of techniques which are focused really on the physical part. We like to complement it by, for example, musical therapy, art therapy, aromatherapy, herbal medicine, and breathing techniques, earthing, hardening, like other techniques which are related to the natural elements, like forest therapy, for example, or hydrotherapy. So this, I mean, like the main approach is focused on the principles of movement, posture, and physiotherapeutical principles. And this approach is completed by the other techniques which are maybe more focused on the mind and spirit. And I think it's great, this combination. And maybe you wonder why most of our techniques are focused on the movement and body.
Yes.
Because we believe that, you know, all this chain from the thought to emotion, and from emotion to some somatic disorder, if it concerns bad emotion. So this chain, because when we are aware about this psychosomatic pattern, it does mean that when, for example, I am depressed, so I have negative thoughts. From the negative thoughts, I create negative emotions, and when I am really, stay long in the negative emotions, then it has impact on my physical condition. There is an example, only the posture. So sad people and depressive are like this, but there are happy people like this. And it really makes a difference. And when I remain for weeks and months in this kind of posture, and I breathe superficially, I have another breathing pattern, another postural pattern, then I am more prone to develop maybe some musculoskeletal injuries or blockages, or even chronic inflammations because I don't ventilate well my lungs, etc. So when we are aware about this chain, then there is a good news that we can influence it also from the other side. It does mean that alignment of people or of our patients in some idle position. So when we correct the alignment, when we correct the posture, it can also influence by consequently the emotional and mental pattern and mindset, etc., and it can stop these pathological chains. Yeah.
So you can also affect the chain from each of the side.
Yeah.
So it's connected.
Yeah, it's good news, because just imagine that, for example, you know that you are very easily, you get angry. And you know that you don't feel well in your body. When you are angry, then you have pain here, then you have problems with your gallbladder or your liver, and then so you don't feel well, and you like to stop it, but you can't help it. You're like this, so you get angry so quickly. And that would help that in the onset of angriness, when you are not able to stop it, switch it off in your head, some movements or some pressures or some like manipulation with your body can help to relieve this flash of this emotion. So concretely in the angriness, it's whatever is shaking, jumping, even there are some acupressure points, for example in the liver um, pathway, you can influence by some compression pressures or even some movements which from Chinese medicine, from QiGong, which are focused on the liver organic pathway, and by these techniques you can relieve this urgency and this tension.
Would you say that? Would you say that the techniques that are more focused on physical exercise and breathing are the most powerful, or let's say effective ones in general?
But yeah, I would hesitate to label them as the most effective, but maybe it's like, because it depends on also on every patient, you know. Of course, when you deal with somebody who is handicapped, then you have to consider other techniques. However, I think like, because as I told, in Mehana Institute, we emphasize also the educative aspect. And when we like the people to learn about these patterns, about this interconnectedness, I think this is the easiest way for them to really adopt, you know, and also to enhance their awareness. And also another aspect, while why we are focusing on on movement techniques, uh, because when the people, I think that the key for good health is self-awareness, is awareness about our bodies and minds and emotions. And of course, it's not an easy thing, but I mean, the gate to start to really refine our perceptiveness about ourselves is through the body work. So once we exercise and we get more aware of our bodies, of our perceptions, like physical aspect, then it's easier to us to get deeper, to get more aware about the emotions and mind, what happens in the mind and thoughts. Yeah.
I also saw on your webpage that you are practicing herbal medicine, or it's even one of the complementary techniques. And I wanted to ask you your thoughts on this, because medicine, like nowadays, the pharmacological medicine, many drugs are actually derived from herbal extracts, and so it both kind of works on molecular level, like targeting certain molecules, and even when the drugs are prepared from the herbs, there is it's like easier to control the right dosage. And how do you think it's still beneficial to practice herbal medicine and to as you do it?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, because I think both help. So it's first of all, I would like to be clear that we don't refuse pharmacological techniques. However, just imagine that the resources for herbal medicine are limited. It's not we can't limitlessly collect medicinal plants. Whether the resources for artificial drugs are limitless, and this is the pitfall, because when it is not limited, it can be abused, you know, and overused. And I think First of all, when there is the resources for herbal medicine, there is a limit. It protects against abuse or overuse. So this is one thing. Another thing is that the plants are also living forms, and we as humans, we have a lot in common with animals and plants as living forms. So we all comprise DNA, and we all emanate kind of electromagnetic field. And this is another thing which is still needs to be better maybe explained on the scientific level. But what is evident, that there is also kind of interaction on this subtle, non-chemical level. Like there should be some transmission of the information between plant and human being on this subtle, let's tell, physical or energetical level. And by the way, this is the principle, for example, of the flower, like the Bach's flower essences, or even of homeopathy. So it does mean that the plant comprises some information, and view the fact that the plant, as well as we humans, is a living form. And when we interact, it does mean that the information we accept, we accept this information, and it can trigger some mechanisms, some desired mechanisms. I will give you a concrete example. Usually, the most benefit we take from herbal medicine is reinforcement of the immune system. Why? Because also the same for us, the plants too, they need their immune system to protect them against all the adverse stimuli. So within the herbal medicine, we take benefits of the immune system of the herbs. So we take the information of the self-protection, and this information of the self-protection triggers the self-protecting and self-healing mechanisms in our body. And this is like the supplementary aspect. As you told, of course, the adversity of herbal medicine is that we can't dose precisely the chemical substances. But this is why I like to explain that it doesn't consider only the chemical compounds, but there is something more. So from my point of view, the best way is the combination, and be very really aware not to overuse the drugs, because the drugs, due to their limitless availability, are very likely to be overused.
I just don't understand, in what way it could be overused.
You don't think that the people in Czech Republic, they eat a little bit more drugs than needed? You
So
have
they
not
should-
this.
They should eat
Eat,
more plants.
No. The question is, do we really need to this quantity of drugs we take? It does not mean, okay, I don't want to take this medicament. Do you have any help? But better is to ask, do I really need this amount of medicaments I take?
But these people who take the medicaments, when they decide for example, me, when I can imagine I have some medical condition, I am taking some medicaments, and yes, I have some thoughts should I really take this, or is there maybe any alternative? So I would like to ask you if you have some case where we can see an example where you can
cold.
already decide.
For example, cold, common cold. Cold, just the first mild symptoms of common cold. It always depends also on the mindset of the patients. There are patients which would never consider any alternative to the drugs which are used to take, well, the first symptoms of cold, they immediately take some paracetamol, and then even they like to take antibiotics as soon as possible. So, okay, this is what I always consider the mindset of the patients. But in case of people who are reluctant to take the drugs, of course, then for me it's a perfect example, because there are so many plants, from herbs. Because from cold you like to enhance function of your immune system, and most of the herbs, medical plants, they have it. So from sorge, even lavender, rosemary, mint, thyme, honey, propolis, lemon, eucalypt, whatever. Every nation has something. So this is the typical example, is just the first step when you like to strengthen your immune system.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, as I was browsing your website, I also saw for the first time the term QiGong or QiGong. I don't know how you exactly pronounce it, and it was first time for me to come across this term. Like I don't know what is it, and can you explain?
Yeah. So this is one of the applied technique we work with. QiGong is an ancient healing technique originating in ancient traditional Chinese medicine about 4,000, 5,000 years ago. And it comprises physical movement. So the movements are usually slow and smooth and smart, together with focused mind and breathing techniques. So finally, it comprises all the, it's typical holistic approach. And at the same moment, it works with the mental, spiritual, and physical aspects of the body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say spiritual, do you think the other complementary techniques you offer, do they also have some connection to spirituality?
Yeah, now I think we get back to one of your first questions, that most of our techniques are based on the work with the body, like the movement techniques and manual techniques. However, as we approach the people in the holistic way, of course, we always take in consideration also the emotional and spiritual and mental world. Yeah. But everything is interconnected.
And how do you think that it can affect the patient's recovery or dealing with a chronic illness if the patient is closer to spirituality or self-awareness? Or do you think it plays a role, like how much the patient believes in the treatment?
I wouldn't dare to tell it in this way. It doesn't matter on which level of spiritual evolution the people are. This is not what really concern us. And I think that it's up to the ability of interaction between the therapist or teacher and patient or students to find the way how to explain or how to approach. And it does not matter that much how what spiritual training the people have behind. So we approach everybody in the same way. It's just even it happens to me that when I work with the group of numerous people, 20, maybe sometimes even 40 people, it's evident that there are differences. So the people, they have different medical background, different like spiritual training, but you can always find a way how to inspire them, how to teach them, regardless their spiritual training.
Yes, I wanted to ask you what do you think makes Mehana Institute stand out? And yes, like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we emphasize the educative aspect, you know.
Okay.
So my my wish or goal is to help people to understand much to understand better the psychosomatic patterns and understand what happens in the body and understand the mechanisms of how the illness can be born, and explain them how they can influence their health. So this is, I think, what is special about Mehana Institute is that we also like to make the people, medical doctors themselves a little bit, if I exaggerate, to encourage them uh, to use their bodies and minds and the surrounding nature as instruments to help them to maintain good health and prevent illness. So aside the health beneficial effect of our practice, this, what I mean, is very important, and what makes also Mehana Institute unique is to make the people more independent, like more autonomic to handle their health. And this is through the um, recognition, through so let's tell that we like the people to open the eyes and see, for example, how they can use their breath to influence their health in many aspects. And speaking about breathing, about breath, uh, there are many health aspects. The breathing techniques have their benefit. For example, on the immune system of the airways. Breathing techniques can also help a lot in the gastroesophageal reflux by changing the angle of the diaphragm. They can also help a lot in the chronic lower back pain, because when even by the movement of the diaphragm, you can make kind of physiotherapy to your lumbar vertebrae. Breathing techniques can help also a lot to drain your inner organs, to work with your inner organs, because by some movement and compression, you can mechanically reinforce the lymphatic drainage of your inner organs. And there is another aspect, interesting aspect, which of breathing techniques, which gets like beyond this mere mechanical mechanism. And this is also the theory of vagus nerve, because through deep diaphragmatic breathing, we stimulate the vagus nerve. And now there is a lot of new research about this nerve, which is considered to be very important in the regulation of immune system and also of the stress-related diseases. And it also regulates the cardiovascular system. So just see how large a scale you can influence by the breathing techniques. This is why the breathing techniques are now so popular. And when you explain, everybody can learn it. And if you explain to the people exactly, okay, when you do this kind of breathing techniques, you will focus on this aspect, for example, of your inner organs, then it is much more efficient when people they really understand the mechanism, so when they practice it, they can really help themselves so effectively. And I already have these results with my clients, so we have a lot of feedback from them, so they appreciate a lot this. Yeah.
And your programs are also meant for medical professionals. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah.
So why? Or,
what is the goal?
Or like, are you happy if medical professionals join your programs?
Absolutely, and they are many of them, like some nurses, physiotherapists, some general practitioners who join our programs for their own choice. But now we are in the phase when we really like to focus more on this medical community. This is what patients me really. I like to interact with medical professionals. And why? It does not mean to tell them, okay, you stop to do surgery, you stop to do this, just you will
tell patients how to breathe and how to move.
No. It's just, it's the goal is to enlarge their practice in this holistic approach. And so usually when the medical professionals join our programs, they are themselves motivated to enlarge and complement their practice by the complementary non-invasive and non-pharmacological techniques. And another motivation for them is that now the number of patients who require non-invasive and non-pharmacological treatment raises remarkably. So there are more and more people now, and now it's really remarkable that they ask, okay, you like to prescribe me 4th antibiotics? Is there other way? I don't want to take antibiotics anymore. Do you have another option? Or for example, I have some lesion of my meniscus, but I have doubts about the operation. Is there any other approach? And of course, there are some emergency cases. There is no way to consider other than conventional approach. But in many cases, like the chronic pains, chronic diseases, like mild infections, or even some neurodegenerative diseases, some mild psychiatric condition, etc., in many of this kind of diagnoses, there is another way. There is an option to the pharmacological and invasive approaches. And this is, I know that even among my colleagues, there are more and more of them who start to be interested about this because they see that their patients, they are requiring this. And at this moment, they have no answer for them because nobody taught them. So this is why me personally, I'm also so motivated to transmit this experience and knowledge to the healthcare professionals and give it to them as a complementary tool to their practice in conventional medicine. I think,
yes. So do you think, like, if I start my own practice as a general practitioner, and then maybe I attended one of your courses, like 7-day Mehana program or something, do you think I already could have learned something from your teachings or from your lessons from this educative program, like that I could already get something to actually guide my patients if I see that they are interested in some other ways or something they can do more to have a better health, that I can already give them some advice or guide them.
Yes, absolutely. For me personally, the most sensible are the multi-day programs, because then you can get much more deeper. Multi-day programs, because you can get much deeper into the subject matter. However, I have already feedback, because now we are really very interested about feedback from our patients. We have already feedback from doctors even and physiotherapists that even after one workshop, 2 hours workshop, they already got some hints, some tools they implemented in their practice. So whatever participation, I think, can already influence your practice. And I know it from my own experience, because of course I like to educate myself within the time. And I know that whatever workshop or course I attend, there is always something I can already implement. But from my point of view, the most purposeful are the multi-day programs, like 1 week at least, because there you have really time to get layer by layer and also try to practice. So it's important to tell that all what we are doing is very practical. So we emphasize the practice, hands-on, try, experience. So all the participants experience themselves this what we are doing. Yeah.
Nice. So
teaching.
So it's quite cool to go there and to join it, so to learn some of these techniques or understand it more. So my patients who are asking about different ways or who are not fully satisfied with the conventional treatment only can be more satisfied with me as a doctor if I can give them some other advice that's actually that I know could work or could help or could better their health.
Yeah, right? Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy that you got it in this way, because this is the point, you know. This is point, and so I hope that yeah, and also it's pleasure for us, because I love the interaction with the people, and I love interaction with the students, with the clients, because each of them has always something precious to bring, and I like so this is how I see Mehana.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, you as based on your international experience, when you attended some courses abroad, or you also traveled a lot and did some medical trainerships abroad, I wanted to ask you if you see some, or let's say some countries maybe in Europe where this is more advanced, that the integrative medicine or the complementary medicine is more integrated in the health system, maybe, or maybe even patients require this more. So based on this, it works already somehow.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself as somebody who really knows all the healthcare systems. So I will speak just about my limited experience in this way, but. Well, I know that, for example, in the US, there is already some, like this is in North America, there is an institute which is called National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, which presents this approach. So I know that in the US, this practice, like in many private clinics. Within Europe, you know, I used to spend a lot of time in my life in Switzerland, and I think in this way Switzerland is also farther than we are in the Czech Republic. For example, I have one friend who had to recover after an injury, and like automatically, immediately, there were osteopathic, chiropractic, or even acupuncture approaches which made part of this recovery period, which is excellent. And then I also know that in the countries of origin of the other medicinal traditions, I mean like India, which is a country of Ayurvedic tradition, or China, country of Chinese medicine tradition, it is not uncommon that there are clinics which really cooperate together. So there are clinics of their traditional medical approach, like Ayurvedic or traditional Chinese medicine, which also complete each other with the conventional medicine. So let's say conventional or Western medicine hospitals, they provide the patient with the emergency operations, but then after the operation, it needs some physiotherapy recovery, and which is then managed by the traditional medical clinics. But I feel it that within Europe, I feel that now even conventional medicine gets to be open to this horizontal, like, let's tell, horizontal interconnection of the diverse medicinal tradition. I think this is the goal. The goal is not to tell this is good, this is bad, this is best, this is the worst. The goal is to be quite smart and wise, to open our eyes, to enjoy the knowledge and experience from like different approaches, and in the wise and smart way to complement them together and to bring them in the integrative and holistic ways. For me, this, and I think it's the new direction of medicine in general. This is, from my point of view, this is the way the conventional medical approach should go now. So not to drop all these advantages of Western medicine, which are excellent, like emergency medicine, intensive care, and or intensive cardiological care, but to open the eyes and enrich the practice by the complementary ways. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We have some questions more, but I don't know if we should go through them.
I think it's enough. I
Yes.
start to be cold.
Yes. So let's keep it
For
another
next time.
because
For next time.
next time it will be even better.
Yeah,
You'll be less nervous, less
No. It was great, Andrea. I really like to thank you because I appreciate a lot your interest and a lot your question, because it's always so useful, or so to me, for me, to think about the things, think how to explain them, and search deeper, go further. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I also am happy to hold this interview. It's my first one, so I already see during, like, meanwhile we're talking, like which I said wrong, or what
No.
I mean, maybe what I could do better for the next time. But I liked it. Yes, and next time I ask you maybe something more.
Yeah, thank you.